Whoopi Goldberg has been suspended from The View for 2 weeks over her comments about the Holocaust. In a segment on The View, the cast of The View was discussing books being banned from schools when Whoopi Goldberg said that the Holocaust wasn't actually about race, and she was wrong, obviously. Now, I think this whole thing is dumb that she's being suspended. I don't know how a suspension is going to actually solve this problem or change anything. It seems just like a cooling off period. Like, hey, how about we just take her off the show for a couple weeks? Everyone will forget about this. Because in the end, Whoopi Goldberg's opinion will not change on the Holocaust. And people have stupid opinions all over the place. So what's the point? Now, there's a lot going on here. The segment in question, where The View was discussing the banning of books, the books they're discussing weren't actually banned. But they just say that because they're in desperate need of a way to smear the right over critical race theory. In this conversation, they bring up that Florida is trying to ban the teaching of history. Once again, a lie. Now, I certainly think there are many political elements on the right that don't quite understand critical race praxis in schools and probably will take a heavy hand. And that's an issue. But this segment just got all off the rails. First of all, what they were talking about was just totally factually incorrect. Whoopi Goldberg then decides for no reason just to open up and say, she said, let's tell the truth about this when she made those comments about the Holocaust. Everybody got mad. People on the right were making fun of her. People on the left were shocked and appalled. And let me just say very simply, the Holocaust was very much about race, Whoopi Goldberg. I mentioned this in a previous segment. I did the other day. Whoopi Goldberg basically said all fair-skinned people look the same to me, so what's the difference? Not realizing that, everyone can be racist. And yes, the Holocaust was very much about race. Now, a lot of people are bringing up Gina Carano, and this is a really good point. Gina Carano was on the show The Mandalorian. She got fired from the show for posting on Instagram not to demonize your neighbors. That was it. She didn't say one group was like this group or that group was like this group. She didn't make comments about, what she thought. I'll put it this way. The comment she posted was basically like, in World War II Germany, they used propaganda to make neighbors hate each other, and we need to make sure we don't do that. But she was smeared. They were like, she claimed Republicans are like, Jewish people in the Holocaust, and she never did, but they fired her for it. Whoopi Goldberg comes out just with shockingly offensive, racist comments. Nobody cares. I mean, obviously, what I mean to say is that people care. But right now we have this story. Whoopi Goldberg's co-hosts are reportedly furious over her suspension. You mean to tell me they're more angry she's being held to account for offensive comments than the offensive comments? I want to stress this point, my friends. I don't think she should be suspended. I don't think Gina Carano should have been fired. I think you use these moments as teaching moments, but here we are. Now, I want to talk about what's going on with Whoopi Goldberg. Apparently, she gets $96,000 per week. I want to tell you her real name. Most people don't know this because I didn't know this. Whoopi Goldberg's real name is Karen. Did you know that? And her last name isn't Goldberg. So now a lot of people are coming out and being like, hey, wait a minute. This lady whose name is Karen, I'll pull up her full name. I can't remember her last name. She chose a stage name Goldberg. Yeah, a lot of people are now accusing her of being overtly anti-Semitic, but come on, man. Come on. The woke are deeply anti-Semitic. We saw it with the Women's March. We see it with Farrakhan and the people they defend. They're black racial identitarians, and they believe crazy conspiracies about Jewish people. Now, I don't know if Whoopi Goldberg has all of those views. She may just be a fellow traveler, as they describe it. She may just be someone who's gargled down the woke Kool-Aid, but hasn't really been active in those circles. So what she ends up believing is that all white people are the same. She ends up believing insane things about Jewish people. She uses a Jewish name as her stage name. I gotta say, I would not be surprised if she does hold these views, to be completely honest. But I also want to get into how this all started. The big lie right now from the left is that a school has banned a book, Mouse. They banned a book about the Holocaust. The right wants to ban the teaching of history. Here's what really happened. It's simple. I'll make it simple for you. A school said, one school, we don't want Mouse on the curriculum. There's swearing and nudity in it. Perhaps that's a stupid reason to remove the book. I don't know. That's not the point. The point is they said we're taking it off the curriculum. How many books exist that are not on the school's curriculum? Has the school, by virtue of not placing every book in the curriculum, banned every book? The Bible is banned. I mean, technically, that's probably true. You can't, it's not going to have the Bible in the curriculum. But how many books? The Gulag Archipelago. It's banned because it's not in their curriculum. Every school everywhere in the country has banned. You know what, man? These people are just full of ish. I'm not going to swear, but you get the point. Let's take a look at the sentiment we got here from the New York Post. Whoopi Goldberg's co-host reportedly furious over suspension from The View. ABC News President Kim Godwin announced late Tuesday that effective immediately, I am suspending Whoopi Goldberg for her wrong and hurtful comments. While Whoopi has apologized, yeah, sort of, I've asked her to take time to reflect and learn about the impact of her comments. Goldberg, 66, made the eyebrow-raising claim on Monday's program, insisting that Nazis and Jews were both white. She then repeated the statement on Late Show with Stephen Colbert that evening. Yes, she did not apologize. She put out a tweet, which I don't even believe actually came from her. It was like, my sincerest apologies. Yeah, her apologies were for hurting people's feelings, but not over what she actually said. She stood by what she said, and she was like, I'll take your word for it, I guess. Yeah, because she is deeply racist. And look, I like Whoopi Goldberg. She's Guinan on Star Trek. I'm a fan. I'm a fan of her work, but personally, like professionally, I'll separate the art from the artist, I guess. The host walked back the remarks on Twitter late last night amid widespread outrage. She wasn't to mention the ADL talked to her and said it was about a specific, a group of people that were deemed inferior. In an email to ABC staffers, Godwin praised Goldberg for her apology and inviting the Anti-Defamation League CEO Jonathan Greenblatt on Tuesday's show to discuss her offensive remarks. However, Goldberg's suspension came as some ABC insiders insisted that her apology wasn't enough and demanded she be fired. That's crazy. People are really upset and don't understand why it took days, an ABC executive told the Daily Beast. Still, other network insiders told the outlet that Goldberg's co-hosts, Sonny Hostin, Joy Behar, and Anna Navarro, are furious she was suspended. I agree she should not have been suspended. Whoopi Goldberg is allowed to be stupid. I'm not saying that to say directly that she's stupid. That's not what I mean. I'm saying if you think someone is stupid, they're allowed to be. You are not the person who's smarter than everybody else. People are allowed to have bad opinions or opinions you don't like. Navarro, a regular guest host, who was on Monday's show, defended Goldberg, saying, I love Whoopi. I love The View. This was an incredibly unfortunate incident. Whoopi is a lifelong ally to the Jewish community. She is not an anti-Semite, period. I am sad and I have nothing to say. On Tuesday's show, Greenblatt told Goldberg, there's no question the Holocaust was about race. Literally, the front page of Maus, the book you were talking about yesterday, Whoopi, opens with a quote from Hitler that literally says that the Jews are a race and then makes disparaging comments about them, questioning their humanity. He added that the Nazis' ideology, Hitler's, was predicated on that idea that Jews... I'm not going to repeat these quotes. That's for Goldblatt to repeat. But basically, yeah, very much so. Goldberg first argued the Holocaust went beyond race during the discussion on The View about a Tennessee school district's ban on Maus, the Pulitzer Prize-winning graphic novel about a Holocaust survivor. But let me just stop you there, New York Post. You know what, man? I think in many ways, freedom, honesty, integrity is winning. But boy, I just have to say, it is so insanely frustrating when even the New York Post publishes fake news and it becomes widely accepted as fact. When they go on to say that it was a discussion about a Tennessee school district's decision to ban Maus, ban it. Look at this. Look what the New York Post says. The New York Post is lying, of course. This is fake news, and they should be ashamed of themselves. Evan Simcoe Bednarski, you writing garbage. No, the book was not banned. The book was removed from a curriculum. Well, that's very, very different. So what happens if the kids have the book? Nothing. What happens if the kids are walking around saying, I have a book? Nothing. It wasn't banned. Imagine, as I mentioned earlier, if the kids showed up to the school with the Gulag Archipelago. Well, but we don't have that on the school's curriculum, so it's banned. There are a lot of books people have never heard of that aren't on these curriculums. They're not banned by nature of not being on the curriculums. There are many, many books. Das Kapital. Oh no! They've banned Marx from the schools. Heaven, help us. New York Post reported a Tennessee school district has banned a Pulitzer Prize-winning graphic novel. The McMinn County School Board voted unanimously to remove Art Spiegelman's book Mouse from classrooms on January 10th. Oh no, we're not putting a book in the classroom, therefore it is banned. You see the lie and the manipulation? First of all, it's one county school board. Why is that national news? Because right now the right is going after critical race praxis books, overtly racist books that violate the 1964 Civil Rights Act, for which I am a fan, for obvious reasons I've mentioned in many segments I've done. So when schools violate the 1964 Civil Rights Act, I say they shouldn't be allowed to do that. When the federal government violates civil rights, I say they shouldn't be allowed to do that. I am not an anarchist. I am not an ANCAP or anything like that. I'm just moderately libertarian, but kind of liberal, although it technically doesn't mean anything anymore because now left and right, liberal, conservative just means tribe. But I actually like the fact that we were like, hey, you know, the government's going to regulate that you can't discriminate on the basis of these things. So when you have schools, there's one report now I saw where it was like this, the school made the white students apologize to the black students. You had one report out of Atlanta where the principal actually segregated the black and white students, and a black mother sued, I believe it was a lawsuit, complaining like, why are you doing this to my children? When you have at Dearborn University, Dearborn, Michigan, a non-POC and POC separate discussion cafe, they called it, you've got deep problems that are violating the Civil Rights Act. So when schools outright do this, look at this one. Private Manhattan school has whiteness contract with devil book. I've seen the book. There's the whiteness contract with a white hand and a devil tail and ungulate, whatever. I don't know what you call these, hooven feet or whatever. What's the word for these kinds of feet? You know, just call them ungulate legs or something. So ungulate being hoofed mammal, four-legged hoofed mammals. So you have this white hand reaching out and a white contract has stolen riches, special favors, and you mess with the lives of your friends and neighbors. This was in a school. I have seen it. I have seen the parents talk about it. We have had some of these people come in and show us these books. They're here. These books shouldn't be allowed. Oh no! Oh no. Am I saying calling for banning books? No. On the contrary, these shouldn't be a part of the curriculum in the sense that they're teaching children the message of the books. However, I think these books should be in school for critical analysis so that we can say as teachers, take a look at this book. This book, were it to be taught on the merits as for what it is, would violate the law of this country. I think children should see it and should be told the truth about it. We banned discrimination on the basis of race, gender, national identity, or national origin, gender identity, national identity, religion, et cetera, et cetera. So when this book is being taught, yeah, you're breaking the law for school. It's a violation of the law for schools to be teaching this kind of thing. So when someone on the right says this book should be removed from the curriculum and shouldn't be allowed to be taught in schools, they're basically saying we should follow the law as it was written. And I mean, we can look, I always think it's fair to take a look at, laws that are old and have them brought before courts and be challenged. That's always a good thing. And let the courts, analyze these things. But I got to tell you, man, it's always about cultural enforcement. And right now, across the board in many schools, we have books like this. Now, I'm a reasonable guy, right? This segment wasn't just about Mouse. It was also about To Kill a Mockingbird. The View is discussing that there was a black student who complained and To Kill a Mockingbird got removed. It wasn't just a right-wing bans Mouse. It was also a left-wing bans To Kill a Mockingbird. But they didn't actually ban either of these books. It's remarkable. To Kill a Mockingbird was removed from the curriculum because there's repeated use of racial slurs. And I guess there was a black student who felt uncomfortable, complained. And so the school said, okay, we'll remove this one. Now, I don't know if that violates the 1964 Civil Rights Act. Simply having a book that shows the sentiment and makes these points, I don't know if that should be removed from a curriculum just because of that. Now, that being said, it's up to the school. If the students are like, hey, we can learn this in other ways, I think it would be great to teach about the book from a critical standpoint and allow people to see it. You don't have to necessarily just, openly read it in the classroom if it, contains a lot of racial slurs. The same thing is true for Mouse. The students should have it. They should be allowed to read it as they want, but it's removed from the curriculum because of crass language and one depiction of nudity. That's what they claimed. Now you've got people on the left trying to argue that that's not true. They just want to get rid of talk about the Holocaust, blah, blah, blah. Oh, shut up. No, they don't. Man, I got to be honest. I'm so tired of all of this garbage nonsense. I imagine most of you are too. Gina Carano. You know what I forgot to do? I forgot to show you Whoopi Goldberg's name. It's Karen Elaine Johnson, known professionally as Whoopi Goldberg. Can I just point out, we had on Timcast IRL the other day, Jack Posobiec brought this up. He was like, that Whoopi Goldberg's a stage name anyway, right? And I was like, is it really? I mean, it sounds like it, Whoopi. I mean, that's like, sure, I guess. And he was like, yeah, it's not a real name. She chose a Jewish surname for her stage name. I don't know if that matters, or I wonder if she thought because, she was deeply anti-Semitic, that would get her some kind of privileges or something. But I don't know, maybe she's very successful. Karen Elaine Johnson chose the name Whoopi Goldberg. I find that interesting, I guess. Here she is claiming that Jewish people are just white people or whatever. But it is fascinating. You know why? There are a lot of Jewish people who have on Twitter to defend wokeness, refer to themselves as white, but then when trying to, claim privileges, claim Jewish people weren't white. And that's true. And I think it's reflective of those particular individuals. This is why I can't stand racism and anti-Semitism and the creepy conspiracies from these, from a lot of these leftist types. I can't stand it because the individual is what's important. I got to tell you, the anti-Semitic stuff really, really annoys me a lot. The obsession over Israel, the obsession over Jewish people, oh man, it's just really, really annoying. And I'll tell you why. It is one of the most insane conspiracy racist tropes that could be. And it's just, wow. Look, I have a lot of friends who are Jewish. Regular Americans who are like middle-class working people who work normal jobs and are like plumbers or whatever. And, I had a friend who worked at a cafe and she was Jewish. She didn't go to synagogue. She didn't practice or anything. And I was just like, these people, the anti-Semitic people who believe the crazy things, and the Nation of Islam and all that stuff, they believe all this crazy stuff about all Jewish people. And I'm just like, yo, some people that you don't like just happen to be Jewish. Some people that you don't like just happen to be white. And it's the character of the individual, not the fact that they may be Jewish or black or Mexican or Asian, from wherever they could be. There are a lot of people I know who are white, really bad people. There are a lot of people I know who are Asian, bad people. And there are a lot of people I know who are Latino, who are black, who are of all races, who are bad people. And there are a lot of people I know of all races who are really good people, who just want to get by and just want to live their lives. And so when I hear all the anti-Semitic stuff and the obsession with Israel, I'm like, y'all don't talk about the foreign aid to these other countries, which is comparable. Y'all don't talk about the other large groups of people who control industry. You don't talk about, China, for instance. You know what it is? It's that people who internalize their problems, instead of addressing the problems as an individual and saying, here's how I can improve my life, they want to blame other people. That's it. All right. You end up with people who are like, why are there problems in my life? I know, I'll blame a group of people. It's, to me, the most annoying thing ever. You've got the Occupy types who blamed the 1%. Rich people are not the reason you are suffering. You've got, white nationalist types who just, for the most part, it's kind of just, they prefer white people. They think other races are not part of their tribe, and many of them are just outright racist, just don't like other races. You've got overt white supremacists who blame Jewish people or other races for their problems. And I'm like, dude, your problems are your own. I just can't stand it, man. Stop being a collectivist. Stop. Just focus on yourself. We had Lily Tang Williams. She is running for office in New Hampshire as a Republican. She escaped communist China. She was a Communist Party member. She was born into the Cultural Revolution, and she fled the country because she believes in freedom. And I'm like, look at this. Someone who was actually a probationary Communist Party member is here in the United States standing up for the Second Amendment, our right to keep and bear arms. Stop blaming collectives, a collective group of people. It is the ideology. Communism is bad. Individuals in China are not bad. People, a person, they're individuals. Now, groups like ideological groups, political ideology, that I think you, by all means, take issue with and criticize ideas. But you can have white people who are Islamic. You can have black people who are Jewish. You absolutely can. And so that's the fascinating thing to me. There was a quote that goes around all the time. Thomas Massey tweeted it recently and got flack for it. It's a quote from a white nationalist guy. And he said, to find out who rules over you, simply look to who you cannot criticize. It is a very, very stupid, I just think it's a very stupid comment. Now, there's this meme that claims it's from Voltaire. It's not from Voltaire. It's from some guy who was making comments about Jewish people or whatever. But it's not even a good quote. It doesn't even make sense. I see people tweet it all the time, and I'm like, how does it even make sense? It's like, oh, heaven, child. It's frowned upon to criticize the recently deceased. Like if you go to a funeral and you're like this, you start insulting them, people get mad at you. Yes, it is social. It is culturally enforced. It is socially wrong. You will be ostracized for insulting and criticizing the recently deceased because people don't tolerate that. They want positive vibes or whatever. The dead people don't rule over you. Child cancer patients and child burn victims. You are not going to endear yourself with the public by going out and repeatedly just insulting and criticizing child burn victims. They're stealing resources in our hospitals. I say send them. No one's going to like you for that. Now look, it's possible that there's to greater degrees groups you can't criticize, but I just got to say, like, I don't think trans women of color rule over you. If you insult a person who's transgender, you will get banned. The issue is big tech ideology, not the trans people who are, for the most part, not involved in the overarching Like the point is, if you make disparaging comments about trans people on YouTube, they ban you, right? The individual didn't do anything to you. So by all means, take issue with ideology. That's fine. Take issue with big tech who actually has that power. But these comments, man, everybody just wants to scapegoat a group for all of their problems. That's why I often say I think the problem is centralization, centralized authority. No one should have absolute power over anyone else. And when you get power imbalance, then you get individuals who abuse it. And there can be systems of power like big tech, and you can criticize big tech, but I don't think they're the cause of all of our problems. They're a contributor too. Humans are humans, man. So look. They didn't ban these books, okay? Just drop the lies already. I'm just so sick of the lies all day, every day. New York Post posting lies. Whatever, man. Next segment's coming up at 1 p.m. on this channel. Thanks for hanging out, and I'll see you all then.